Snow hadn't fallen in Macon, Georgia, not since last February. But there was something in the air that afternoon, something thick and heavy, like a silence waiting to break. 12-year-old Caleb Bryant didn't want to be at the bank. He'd rather be at the park near Brookview Middle, tossing a football with Deshaun or watching videos on his battered tablet that only worked when you held it sideways. But when his mom told him she needed something delivered, he didn't argue. That's just how it worked at the Bryant house. When Valerie Bryant gave you a task, you followed through. He smoothed the front of his navy hoodie in the mirror before leaving. His jeans were a bit too long, bunching awkwardly over his sneakers, and there was still a crusty dirt smear on the thigh from recess kickball. He tried wiping it with a damp paper towel but gave up halfway. What matters is what's in your hand, his mother had said. Straight there and straight back. No corner store. No soda. Got it. I got it, Caleb had answered, zipping up. She'd handed him a manila envelope and a folded deposit slip, her dark blue blazer still on, heels echoing faintly on the hardwood. She looked exhausted, bags under her eyes, her ponytail looser than usual, but her presence was sharp, always. Do I tell them I'm your kid? Caleb asked. Valerie paused. Only if they ask, she said. Just hand it to the front desk. If they need more, tell them to check with the upstairs office. He nodded. Okay. She crouched until they were eye level. And Caleb. Her voice was soft but carried steel. Don't let anyone make you feel small in that building. He gave her a half smile. They won't. The walk to Harper Federal Bank took 12 minutes. The Georgia sun was beginning its descent, casting long gold shadows across cracked sidewalks. Caleb kept one hand in his hoodie pocket and gripped the envelope with the other like it held the crown jewels. And in some ways, it did. His mom didn't just work at Harper Federal. She ran it. Not that most people believe that. Even when she sat in boardrooms, even when she signed documents with a pen that had her name engraved on the side, people still looked for someone else, someone older, whiter, or male. But there was no one else. Just Valerie Bryant, a black woman from Augusta who built her name from the ground up and never needed to shout to be heard. The bank wasn't anything grand from the outside. Red brick, silver signage, tinted windows. But Caleb paused across the street anyway, staring up at it. Inside was hers. And today, he was the one delivering for her. He stepped through the glass doors. Cool air greeted him, carrying the sterile scent of printer toner and subtle cologne. A short line had formed at the counter. 3 tellers were behind the glass. One older man, 2 women. The one nearest him, Candace, wore a bright coral blouse and a practiced smile. Caleb waited patiently, feet shifting from side to side. When the man in front of him finished and walked away, he stepped up to the counter. Hi, he said, placing the envelope and slip on the ledge. I'm here for my mom, Valerie Bryant. She asked me to drop this off. The woman blinked. Excuse me. He repeated himself. She owns this bank. Candace's lips twitched. Then she laughed, short, high-pitched, and cutting. Oh, really? She said, eyes dancing. And I'm Oprah. Caleb felt his ears burn, but he held his ground. Her office is upstairs. Candace leaned back in her chair, then turned to the teller beside her with a chuckle. Y'all hear this? She said loudly. This kid says his mom owns the place. The woman beside her didn't react, but Caleb could tell she heard. So did the man in line behind him. Caleb could feel the weight of their stares. I'm not lying, he said, quieter now. Her name's Valerie Bryant. You can check. You got ID? Candace asked, still grinning. Paperwork from your mom? He held up the envelope again. She told me to drop this off. That's it. Candace stared at it, then back at him. So she just sends you up in here, by yourself, talking about she owns the bank? His hands clenched. She said to give it to the front desk, he replied. That's what I'm doing. MHM, Candace said, drawing out the sound like she was savoring it. Then she leaned forward, smile curling cruel. Is she the cleaning lady, sweetheart? You maybe got your wires crossed. Someone chuckled behind him. That did it. No, Caleb said, voice steady but low. She's the president. Her name's on the door upstairs. Candace crossed her arms. Well, maybe she can come down here and explain it, A hush fell over the lobby. Even the hum of the printers seemed to fade. I'm just doing what she asked me to do, Caleb said. You can call her office if you don't believe me. Before Candace could speak again, the frosted glass door behind the counter opened. Heels clicked softly across the tile. Valerie Bryant stepped into view. She didn't yell, didn't frown, just walked. Hey baby, she said, laying a hand on Caleb's shoulder. He exhaled. He hadn't realized he'd been holding his breath. Valerie turned to Candace. Is there a problem with my son delivering my documents? Candace blinked. I didn't realize. Valerie offered a cool smile that never touched her eyes. Didn't realize what? I just thought maybe he was confused. So instead of asking or checking, you assumed. Candace faltered. Look, I didn't mean what? I just didn't think. That he was telling the truth? Or that a black boy could speak with authority in your lobby? Candace flinched. A man in a gray suit, Stephen Albright, branch manager, emerged from the hallway. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Bryant, he said quickly. I just stepped out. I didn't know what. Well, now you do, Valerie replied. He turned to Candace. Can I speak with you in the office? Candace looked at Valerie, then to Caleb, then followed her manager down the hall. Valerie turned to her son. You good? He nodded. Let's go. They walked out together. No words passed between them until they reached the corner. Does that happen to you a lot? Caleb asked. Valerie took a breath. More than I'd like. He kicked a pebble. She said you were the cleaning lady. She'll have to sit with that, Valerie replied. Just like everyone else who stood there and let it happen. You're not mad. I'm tired. They walked home in the dusk. Dinner was leftovers. Caleb picked at green beans while Valerie took a call in the other room, something about incident reporting and training protocol. They gonna fire her? He asked when she came back. I don't know. That's not my decision. But she laughed at me, and she'll carry that moment the rest of her career. Caleb was quiet for a moment. It felt like I didn't do anything. You did everything I asked. And more. A few days later, Caleb got a text from a number he didn't know. It was Teresa Ung, the HR director from Harper Federal. She wanted to know if he'd speak at a staff workshop about bias. I don't have to do it, right? He asked his mom. No, she said. But I think you should. And he did. He stood at a podium 2 weeks later, looking out at the very people who had once watched him get humiliated in their lobby. I didn't come here to get anyone fired, he told them. I came to tell you what it felt like. And why it matters. By the time he finished, the room was silent. Not uncomfortable silent. Respectfully silent. He walked out of the bank for the last time that spring with his mom beside him. He wasn't carrying an envelope this time, just a story. His story. And he carried it like it mattered. Because it did.